Hey everybody, it's me, Shaw360, and Favorite is an amazing song. I'm so happy with it. But that's not why you're here. You're here because I'm bored and I want to talk to somebody about Squid Game. So here we are. I did listen to the repackage for the NCT album. It's got, I believe, 3 new songs, and I like all of the songs fine. But Favorite is my favorite, and I don't know why it's necessarily called Vampire because I actually haven't watched the video and I haven't seen a lyrical interpretation. I literally only listened to it on Spotify. But I really, really like it. I think the thing I like the most about it is how kind of like melancholy it is. Like it has a very kind of like not sad vibe necessarily, but more of a like I don't know, a wistful vibe, winsome vibe maybe. I really, really like that song. But anyway, I did say on here finish Squid Game because I want to talk about it now that I finished it. So it took me about 3 weeks to finish Squid Game. Not because I was scared or because I didn't like it. It took me 3 weeks because honestly, I don't watch TV ever. I don't own a television. Actually, like if anyone who knows me knows, I don't own a television. I haven't owned a television in my home in more than 10 years. So I watched I think I watched 3 episodes one weekend. I watched 2 more episodes another week. No, 3 more episodes another weekend. And then I watched 3 more episodes another weekend. So it took me 3 weeks to finish the show because I watched the episodes pieced out, pieced out, pieced out. And now that I have finished the show, I wanted to talk about it because I really did like the show. I thought the show was really good. I can see why people are excited about it. I will say this though, as someone who's consumed Korean media for quite a while, have consumed Asian media for quite a while, I think part of the reason why Squid Game is doing so well is number one, Parasite. Like, you can't erase the fact that if Parasite hadn't been as popular as it was, people wouldn't be as invested in Korean cinema. Between Parasite and Train to Busan and some of these other really big kind of escaping the box Korean films, I think it made people more primed for Korean media. Also, BTS. I mean, I'm not saying this in a mean way or saying this in a way to make it seem like other K-pop groups don't matter, but like the 1-2 punch of a Parasite and a BTS just makes a lot of Korean stuff more attractive to Western audiences. And then there's also like a bunch of people who watched Alice in Borderland, which I haven't watched, but they were like primed for another Korean show that was kind of like a little bit gory, a little bit plot twisty. And here you have Squid Game, which is all of that. It's a little bit gory, it's a little bit plot twisty, it's a character study. It is kind of questioning humanity and what would you do if you were in the same situation, that kind of thing. And so yeah, I think that definitely I enjoyed the show. I thought the show definitely was worth the watch. I am on the fence about whether or not I want a season 2. I'll be honest. So just in case anybody's wondering, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Don't talk to me if you don't want to be spoiled. I waited a really long time. Hey, Sarah. I waited a really long time to talk about this show. Like, this show has been out for at least a month. So I'm sorry if you haven't watched it yet, but I literally have waited for forever to watch this show. And so, yeah, I'm ready to talk about it now. So there were only a couple of mysteries at the end of season 1 that I wanted to have answers for. And I'm certain that they'll answer a couple of my questions, but other stuff that I have questions about will never be answered. And that's the reason why I'm not really that invested in a season 2. I mean, I do believe that the detective is not dead. He was shot in the shoulder, just like he shot his brother in the shoulder. He was shot in the shoulder. He fell into the water. He's probably alive. He may be in bad condition, but he's probably alive. I also feel like Gi-hoon, yeah, sure, go ahead and put him back in the Squid Games if you want to. But more than anything, I just want to know whether or not he ever sees his daughter again. Because I'm going to tell you for a fact, I was pissed as fuck that he walked all the way down the ramp to get on the plane and then turned his ass around in order to rejoin the Squid Game. I was so fucking mad. But we're gonna have conversations about a lot of characters, so I'll get to my issues with Gi-hun in a minute. But that shit pissed me off. I hated that it ended on that note. Questions I have that will never get answers. I really, really, really want to know the backstory behind the curly-haired lady. Like in the very first episode, she says she wants to go home because she had a baby that she hadn't named yet. We don't know if this is a lie or not. It's easy to believe that it's a lie because of the fact that we don't believe her because she is like such a survivalist liar. But at the same time, that could be true, you know? Then I would like to know kind of what did Sang-woo actually do? Like, I know that he embezzled a bunch of money and he lost a bunch of money, but they said it was on some bad investments, I guess. Like, what bad investments? Like, was he involved in a Ponzi scheme and got, outsmarted by somebody else? Did he have a gambling addiction like Jihoon did? Like, what was the deal with him and how he ended up getting in this much debt? Like, I have a question about that. I'd like to know more about just other people's backgrounds, how they ended up in the show. That was the thing. Like, we got so much background on Gi-hun, and it was because they needed us to root for him because he was the character we were the most familiar with. But if we didn't have as much of his background story, I don't think the audience would have cared as much about him because he's a shitty guy. He's a really shitty guy. But because he was the character that we knew the most and we had the most kind of insight into what his life was like before this happened, that's the reason why we root for him. But like also, unknown question for him. It sounds like initially he had a really good job, worked in a manufacturing plant. There was a big worker strike, and then people got killed, and he suffered some PTSD from that. And then all of a sudden, he became a degenerate gambler. How did that happen? Had he always been gambling? Did the PTSD cause him to become a gambler? Like, questions, 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 and more questions. And also, like, we have the question about the front man. Why are you the front man? Like, seriously, front man, how did you go from, first of all, getting involved in the Squid Games to then all of a sudden working for the Squid Games after winning? Like, what's that story about? Also, somebody brought this up online, and now I can't stop thinking about it. So, Junho, the detective, goes to talk to his brother because he gets a call from the brother's landlord that the brother's behind on rent. And when he goes to the room that his brother supposedly stays in, it's a really rundown, cheap room. And it looks like, from objects we see on the desk and everything else, that his brother is a college student. I'm sorry, but Lee Byung-hun, he doesn't look like anybody's college student. He looks like somebody's professor. He does not look like a younger brother. He doesn't even look like an older brother. He looks like a daddy. So, like, is that really his brother? And if that's his brother, like, what the hell, what cover story was he telling to his family? If he won the Squid Games and the money that you normally win with the Squid Games, why are you living like this? What are you saving the money for? What the fuck is going on? Also, like, one of the things that I just could not get over from the very beginning of the show, when they started rattling off the amount of personal debt that these people had, I couldn't believe it. Like, bitch, I barely got a loan to buy a car 2 years ago. Like, not that I have terrible credit. I have good credit. I just don't have great credit. But, like, they factor in your income and everything else, and then they decide what you can borrow based on what you make. And so I had enough to get like a mid-range car, not a fancy car. This man owed almost $400,000, and not in like student loans, but like $250 to the bank, $150 to the fucking mafia. Like, who's giving away these sums of money? And I'm not being facetious. I'm not trying to act like I'm more ignorant than I am. Like, I really have to wonder how. Just how? How does that happen? I can't think of a single institution in America that would be willing to give me $250,000 for anything other than a home. I can't imagine even beginning to fix my face towards asking for $150,000 from the mafia. How the fuck would that happen? So like, yeah, I mean, I have lingering questions, but none of that shit's going to get answered. So I'm not interested in a season 2. I really am not. I don't want to get sucked into liking new people and then having my heart broken by watching them die. I'm not interested in trying to get to learn more backstory. I don't want the twist that Gihan's going to die in the first 3 episodes. Like, that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna get in the Squid Games, and then he's gonna fucking die in the 3rd episode. He's not gonna survive the 2nd season. But that's how that's gonna happen. And then his fucking daughter's gonna be disappointed once again because daddy disappears from her life, and she's never gonna know what the fuck happened to him. Because that's the kind of shithead he is. I'm sorry. So let's go back. So I watched Kenny JD's Squid Game review, and one of her favorite characters is Songwoo. And for reasons that she says, he plays the game the way that she would have played if she was in the Squid Game. And I can just tell you right now, because everybody asked the question, do you think you would survive the Squid Game? Absolutely not. I would so die. And I wouldn't even die during one of the games, probably. I would probably die of a heart attack at some point. Or if not that, I probably would like just frighten myself to death at some point. So yeah, I would never win the Squid Game. Probably I would, if I managed to make it through red light, green light, I would die after the Dalgona game. That would be where I would pass away. So yeah, I wouldn't make it through tug of war because I don't have much upper body strength. But anyway, Songwoo, she likes him because of the way he played the game, because she felt like even though the things he did were dastardly, he kind of was operating off of the premises that every single person who returned to the games after the first game did so knowing that their life was at risk. And so by killing people in the game to survive, he was basically operating under the tenets of the game to begin with. Therefore, he's not really doing anything wrong because he's just doing the thing that they all signed up for, survival of the fittest. But I cannot get over the fact that Songwoo, after embezzling all the money from his job, took out a mortgage on his mama's house. I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone has to say. He took out a mortgage on his mama's house. Fuck the Squid Game. You took out a mortgage on your mama's house. And then before you got the invitation to go back to the game, you were prepared to just kill yourself. And you were going to leave this earth with your mother's house probably being sold. And when we see his mom in the last episode, her food stall is no longer in the alley where her food stall used to be. She's on a fucking street corner. Like she looks like she's set up illegally. Like he threw his mother into the worst possible situation. And so I don't care if he went into the games being like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make my mom whole because I fucked up and I sold her house. The fact that it even occurred to you to do some wild shit like that, fuck you forever. Like seriously, fuck you forever. How could you do that to your mother? Seriously, how could you do that to your mother? There's a lot of things in this life that I do to a lot of people, but I would never sell my mother's house from underneath her. That's wild. Gihan is not much better. Like, let's run down all of his faults. What was he fighting so hard for? He could have come back with money, but he still would have been ashamed and battling charges. Girl, Sarah, I know you mean well. But Korea, just like everywhere else in the world, money takes care of a lot of things. The brokerage company that he was working for, where he embezzled the money, they probably would rather be paid back than have their customers know that their money is not safe because someone in the company was stealing it. So if he had won the money and he had gone back, he could have easily met with the police, given all the money back, and everything would have been fine because they would rather deal with it in-house than let it get out to the newspaper that ABC brokerage firm had one of their employees embezzle several $1 million out of the company. So yeah, he would have been able to live guilt-free. He could have disappeared. He could have got the money, swept his mom up and said, we're leaving now, mama. We got to live in an island in the middle of the Grecian Sea or something. Like he could have done that. But yeah, he had every motivation to try to win this money. But yeah, fuck that guy. Songwoo's not great. Also, Songwoo didn't need to kill Sebyuk. He didn't have to do it. He explains that the reason why he killed her is because he knew that Sebyuk and Gihun would have voted together to end the games, and he would have went home with no money. But the thing is, Sebyuk would have never done that. I mean, of all the time that he spent with her and seeing how kind of cut and dry and ruthless as she was, and not ruthless in a mean way, more like a self-preservation way, how insular she was, how determined she was to make it to the end of the game, for him to believe that she would have stopped the game at the end just to survive, like, he obviously is not as smart as he thinks he is, because she was never going to do that. She had every intention of playing this game out to the very end. So I don't get why he had to kill her. Also, he could tell she was injured. Whenever Gihun screamed about, why are you bleeding? What's wrong? It was very evident then she wasn't going to make it to the end. She wasn't even conscious enough to level a vote at that point. Like, if you thought she was going to vote to end the game, bitch, she was bleeding out. She couldn't even talk. She was unconscious. You can't vote when you're unconscious. So he killed her just to do some fuck shit. Just to do some fuck shit. The greed had gotten to his eyeballs, and he was like, one more competitor to take out, and that's what the fuck that was. And so, no, I don't have any sympathy for that guy, because he didn't have to do that shit. He did not have to do that. She was too far gone for it to have mattered. She really was too far gone for it to have mattered. But Gihun, let's talk about him and how fucking ruthless he is, and how he's an asshole, and we don't like him, and I don't want to see another season with him. So let's just start with who he is at the very beginning of the show. When we first see him, he's living in his mama's house because he ain't got no money. His mom is giving him money to buy his daughter a birthday present, which he tells her is not enough money. Then when his mom leaves, he fucking steals his mother's credit card so that he could take money out of her bank account. And she's so used to him taking money from her that she changes her PIN number to try to keep him from it. So this is not, I just did this one thing this one time. He is habitually stealing from his mother. Then he steals more money from his mother after he figures out what her new PIN number is, goes to the races with his daughter's birthday money and the money he stole from his mother to try to then bet on horses and hopefully, I don't know, increase his winnings somehow. Then, after he wins, he gets pickpocketed. The mafia is like, you signed this agreement saying we're going to take one of your kidneys. Okay, fine. That's the shit you get for dealing with the mafia. But then, he is in the subway, and this beautiful man, Gong Yu, this beautiful man approaches him and is like, hey, friend, I'll play a game with you. I'll bet you, $10, $100, whatever, that, this card game is going to turn out the way I want it to. And if it turns out the way you want it to, then I'll give you money. If it turns out the way I want it to, you either give me money or let me slap you, right? And there's a real key to the whole show right here, because as they're playing the game and Gong Yu keeps slapping the shit out of Ji-hoon, all of a sudden when Ji-hoon wins one, he's ready to slap. But then he stops because money is presented to him. And I think that's a key moment, because it's just going to show when you get used to violence, it becomes easy to enact violence, but also money even trumps violence. When you're desperate, even though it would be so satisfying to slap Gong Yu in the face, you're like, give me that money. I'll take that. Thank you very much. But anyway, Gong Yu, one of the finest men to ever walk the earth. Gong Yu then gives him this card. And that's when homeboy decides, yeah, I might do the Squid Game thing. But before that, he takes the money that he won from Gong Yu and goes to an arcade to win his daughter a birthday present, which, again, this fucking degenerate ass gambler, instead of taking the money and going to a regular store and buying his daughter a present, she wants to eat chicken, but he could buy her a teddy bear or something. Instead, he wants to gamble his way into her gift again, because that bitch don't learn. He don't learn. Even in the very end of the show, that bitch is still gambling because he don't fucking learn. He's gambling, can't figure it out. This little kid helps him. Because he's a fucking idiot, he doesn't even open the thing that he won to see if it's something even good for his daughter, something appropriate for his daughter. Takes his daughter out for chicken because that's what she wanted. Finds out that his daughter's stepdaddy is actually doing the real daddy work, taking her out to a nice steak meal, buying her gifts, treating her like a kid needs to be treated, giving her safety, giving her security, giving her stability. So he presents her with her gift, which is a fucking gun. And this little girl's like, what the fuck is this, Dad? And he's like, let me see here. And it turns out to be a lighter. Yeah, he got a duck bucket. He didn't even get her the chicken. This guy is an animal. Fuck this guy. So anyway, ends up in the Squid Games, does the first game, has his ass saved by Ali, the best person in the whole fucking show. Does something halfway decent, decides to go home from the Squid Games. So I'm like, you know what? This shit is brutal. Let's go home. Gets home, realizes that his mother has been sent to the hospital because she's got diabetes. And normally, she could go to the hospital and get treated for her diabetes, but her fucking horrible ass son canceled her health insurance in order to be able to be a degenerate fucking gambler. You killed your own mother. You killed your own mother. Let's call it what it is. You killed your own mother. Your mother, who's fucking working her ass off to pay back the bank, to pay back the loan sharks, to keep a roof over y'all's head, doing all this shit. She's doing everything she can to keep you alive instead of having you get your kidneys stolen and you, in turn, let your mother's kidneys fail. Fuck you. What a fucking asshat. Then he goes to his daughter's place because he hears from his mom that his daughter's going to be moving to the United States, right? Gets there and has the fucking nerve to ask for money, number one, which, like, why the fuck would I give you money when I know for a fact you're not paying no fucking child support? Then gets mad that the family wants to move to the States so they can continue to care for his daughter in the way that he can't, and then wants to act offended when the stepfather's like, hey, I'll lend you money, just leave us the fuck alone because you're a degenerate ass gambler and you're never going to do anything good for your kid and we're tired of your fucking bullshit. And has the nerve to get offended because he got called out for the truth of what it really is. So he goes back to the Squid Game and gets to the Squid Game and is just being the village idiot per usual. Like none of the victories that he got in the Squid Games were victories that we can say he earned, except the Dalgona game. Like, that literally is the only victory that he earned on his own, because no one gave him anything to cheat to get the umbrella out. He did that himself. But he got his ass saved by Ali in the first game, the red light, green light game. The old man told him how to win tug of war. When it came to the fourth game, the reason why he won that is because he cheated and lied to an old man about whether or not he was winning the game because he decided to take advantage of this old man's dementia. He won the glass bridge game because he was fucking dead ass last. And then he only won the final game because Sangwoo stabbed himself in the fucking throat. He chose the old man for tug of war, but honestly and truly, that old man saved his ass. That old man could have kept quiet. That old man was one of the VIPs. He honestly didn't even have to play that fucking game. And I'm sure they weren't going to let a VIP die. Like, let's be honest about that too. If they hadn't won tug of war fair and square, there would have been some type of failsafe that would have kept them from losing. Because don't think for a minute that the host was going to get killed in the Squid Games. That was never going to happen. Never going to happen. When they had the prison riot night, that old man was gone. Did you notice how they fucking pulled him out the room and then all of a sudden he's screaming, talking about, stop it, please! There was no way that old man was going to lose on anything. So, no. He fucking got it out every fucking time. The only thing he ever did for himself in terms of, like, helping himself win the game is be friends with people who were smarter or better equipped or had an in on things. That really is it. Everyone else around him saved his ass to the very fucking end. Then, after he wins the Squid Game And fucking Sabiel on her deathbed said, please get my fucking brother out of the orphanage. This asshole waited a full year to get this baby out of the orphanage. He waited a full fucking year. He didn't spend a penny of that money on helping out Songwoo's mom. Didn't spend a penny of that money getting this baby out the orphanage. The only thing that caused him to finally spend his money is after having a gambling philosophical conversation with the old fucking dying man. That's it. That's it. He spent a whole year fucking moping around town being a bum when there were real people who needed help and he didn't help them. And then, again, at the last fucking minute, when he could have been minding his own damn business and gone to America and been with his daughter who's been waiting on him and who he's continuously let down over and over again over several years, who probably he didn't even talk to in the year that he was playing a bum. He's literally almost on the plane and he fucking turns around. That guy's a fucking menace. That guy is a fucking menace. And I'm not saying this because I watched Kenny's video. That's how I felt. Stephanie was sitting next to me when I was watching the last episode. I'm like, don't turn around. Keep going. Your daughter's waiting on you. So in the last wager that Gi-hoon made with the old man, when the old man revealed that he was the host and that he was just playing the game for fun because rich people get bored and look for exciting stuff to do. They're in like the penthouse 30 minutes away from midnight, and they're betting on whether or not anybody is going to come and assist the old man on the street corner who's too drunk to get up and who'll possibly freeze to death if nobody helps him. Now, they didn't give big elaborate instructions on how this game needed to play. They were just going to bet on whether or not anybody was going to help him. Gi-hoon, being the degenerate fucking gambler ass that he is, doesn't even think to himself like, you know what? I could get down the elevator, I could walk across the street, and I could help this person myself. I ain't got to sit here and make wagers with this old man. I don't have to play this old man's game. I have like $45 million in the bank. I would just go downstairs and check on this person and help them myself. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that because that's the kind of shiftless piece of shit he is. He'd rather linger in his own feelings about his own life rather than see how the shit he does impacts all the people around him. And that's the reason why Gi-hoon is such a fucking asshat. Because even though he might not be a villain, even though he might not be the worst person in the world, he's still a bad person. Because he's so fucking self-absorbed and narcissistic that he'd rather experience everything from an influencer point of view than thinking about how does what I do impact everyone around me. How much have I damaged my daughter by making it to where she has a father she can never count on? How much have I disappointed my mom by making her work into her golden years to support me instead of the other way around? Yeah, he could have called the police. There's so many things that he could have done that would have been better than just sitting there and being a passive observer. But he's so selfish that he can't fucking move. He can't move. I don't like him. I don't like him. For a year, he let Sangwoo's mother wonder what happened to my son. He let her lose her house. He let her have to relocate her stall, her fish stall, to a fucking street corner. He let a year go by. He let a year go by. That guy's a fucking menace. I don't like him. Characters that I also hated, Doksu. He was a stereotypical textbook villain. Like, there's no redeeming nothing about him. Lie, cheat, steal, former gangster, everything like that. But I feel like in a lot of ways he was almost like a red herring villain because like he was so cartoonishly bad because they had somebody else who was so cartoonishly good. So you had to have it to where the most evil person would survive longer than the best person, just to show you that in the end there is no justice in this show. Like that's the lesson. Doksu had to exist because he had to live longer than Ali. Ali. My God, Ali. I hate that they had a character like that in this show. Ollie broke my heart because he was literally blameless. Like the worst thing that he'd ever done wasn't even the worst thing he'd ever done. It was an accident. The worst thing he ever did was actually an accident. So the story that most immigrants have, they come to a country where they don't really speak the language, but they came there hoping to provide a better life for their families. They get there, and because of their naivete, because of their immigration status, because of their not being able to fully acclimate into the culture that they're in, they get taken advantage of. So he moves from Pakistan to South Korea. He learns Korean. I mean, he doesn't speak great Korean, like he's not, university fluent, but I mean, enough to at least exist, way better than me. And he manages to lose two fingers working at this, I guess it's a plastics company. I'm not sure what kind of company it is, but like is continuously lied to. Has a boss that expects him to work but doesn't expect to pay him. And in a tussle where he's wanting his money because he sees that his boss has money, he pushes his boss, and the boss's hands get caught in one of those press machines. And that's probably the worst thing he'd ever done. He'd probably never even hurt anybody like that, but that was literally the worst thing that he's ever done. Other than that, he just had a wife and a baby, and he just wanted to give them a better life. And one of the things that makes me so sad is that Gi-hoon knew how to find Se-byuk's brother. He knew how to pay Sung-woo's mom. But in all this, he's probably never going to be able to help Ollie's family because all he knew Ollie by was Ollie. Didn't have any way of finding them. I mean, he could spend his $40 million maybe to find them, but he's not gonna. But yeah, Ollie joined the game out of pure desperation. And that's the reason why, on the one hand, some people say the people that were in this game knew what they were getting into and they deserved their fates because life would have probably killed them anyway. But Ali, I honestly feel like if just the right person had come along, he could have survived. And he was a person who never took anything away from society. He only added to society. And for him to die the way he did, from being just a person who cared about somebody else and had trust and faith in somebody else, the fact that faith and respect and trust can get twisted against you and cost you your life, like, I just hated that they had a character like that in this show. I didn't hate it because I thought that it was unrealistic for people like that to exist. I just hated it because, like, at that point, once he died, I almost felt like I had nobody to root for, honestly, because I'm just like, what the fuck? This is a good man. This is a good man. And the fact that, like, the old man, number one, why he couldn't listen to Ollie's story, hear what Ollie was saying, and think, like, this is a person who doesn't belong here. Get him the fuck out of here. He doesn't belong here. Because that old man had the opportunity to look at somebody like Ollie and think, like, yeah, he's desperate, but he's not a bad person, and maybe he deserves to live a life. Maybe I could help him. He seemed like he's worth giving a second chance to. No, that old man didn't give a fuck about that. Didn't give a fuck about that because he's fucking ruthless as well. This is all a fucking game to him. It's all a game to him. Him playing red light, green light, he could have danced when the figurine turned around. Nobody was going to shoot him. There were no stakes for him in this game. It was all cosplaying for him. Fucking heartless. Fucking heartless. That's another reason why I hate Song-woo. I mean, I get it that Song-woo's like, I have to do what I have to do to live. But the fact that he did it that way just eats me up. It just eats me up. It eats me up. I hate that. I hate that. Also, let's talk about Se-byuk and her backstory of her. What we never find out is the extent to which her and Doksu had a relationship, not like a romantic relationship, but just like knowing each other, what kind of relationship they had prior to the games. But if I had to guess, I would say that possibly she was involved in some form of sex work, human trafficking with Doksu because he's that kind of bitch. And so she was doing everything she could to get the money together, to get her mother out of North Korea. And the first attempt, it sounds like she got robbed. They took her money and ran. And it's the kind of business where it's illegal to do that. So, of course, you have to trust that these bad people doing illegal things will actually do the right thing and do what they said they're going to do. So she goes into the games in order to try to win the money to save her brother. And because life was hard in North Korea and life was hard when she got to South Korea, she's probably like, I don't have any sympathy for anybody in this place. Like, I literally I'm just here hoping to make it to the end and fuck everything, fuck all this noise. But she meets somebody in the games. And even though the fans have kind of read into this lesbian edit of things, I kind of follow it too because I want it to be real. But she meets someone and they strike up a very brief but very important friendship. Because I think the whole time that Sebyuk has been in Korea, she's been met with nothing but like ridicule and people trying to take advantage of her in like the ugliest parts of society. Probably some shit that she's like, you would think that this only happens in North Korea, but look what I found down here in the golden places. But she meets somebody who's like, I too have been exposed to the worst. I get you, girl. We're simpatico and, we're kind of in this thing together. As long as we have, let's just spend some time. And then for that person who shows her like real concern for her, who shows that they have a real desire for companionship, for that person to then sacrifice themselves and allow themselves to be killed because they felt like they were even more worthless than what society has told Sebyuk she is. Like, golly, rip my heart out. Oh my gosh, I hated that. I also, her backstory was so terrible, Jiyoung. Like, her fucking dad was molesting her. Her dad killed her mom. She turns around and kills her dad, immediately goes to prison, comes out of prison, and of course there's nobody waiting on her because both of her parents are dead. And like, she's like, I just played the game because I had nothing to look forward to, so I figured, why the fuck not? Ugh. They waited until the last episode to kill the best people. And then Sebyuk, after being cunning and really trying and doing all the things it takes to survive, she fucking gets done in by that fucking glass bridge and then gets stabbed in the throat. Like, I hate this. I love the show, but I just hate that this happened. It's just anyone that you would possibly want to even begin to root for, you can't. You can't root for anybody. And that just sucks. It sucks that in all of this, there is literally nobody to root for. When it's all said and done, there's nobody to root for. And then we have like, the side characters. We have curly hair crazy lady. Can't remember her name right now. But again, we're never going to get her backstory, which I desperately want her backstory. I want every bit of her backstory. But you wonder, like, what was it about Doksu that got her so invested so quickly? Because like from the very beginning, she recognized that he was a strong competitor. So she tried to make him believe that like, I would be worth being on your team. And after they have sex in the bathroom, she's like, hey, I really feel something for you. Let's try to make it to the end. And when he double crosses her, immediately she's like, oh, okay, I see what it is. But why does she even fucking care? Why is it that her desire for self-preservation took such a backseat for her need for revenge? And it makes me feel like something really bad happened in her life prior to her getting to the Squid Games. And I'm dying to know what it is. Minyo, you're right. I'm dying to know what it is. Because, like, seriously, I feel like the reason why she decided to off herself and Doksu at the same time on the bridge game was because she was just like, I'm tired of men bullshitting me. I'm tired of being led around by fucking fake, empty promises. I've been fighting my whole life to prove to men that I'm worth something, that I'm valuable, that we could go all the way with this. And at every opportunity, you threw me away. And I'm tired of being thrown away. And I just really seriously would like to know what happened. Also, does she have an abandoned baby out there? These are questions I'm asking. Um, the VIPs were gross. I love that they cast a bunch of gross Americans because they're gross. The reason why they cast one Chinese VIP is because Koreans hate China. Uh, facts, facts. But yeah, Americans are the grossest people that Koreans could think of outside of the Chinese. So, of course, hey, the VIPs are Americans, not even Australians or British people, nobody from an African nation. No, just straight up Americans because we are the fucking worst, aren't we? So that was fun. Also, the fucking pig ass VIP who bets on 69 and then on 96 and then is trying to molest the fucking wait staff. Fuck that guy. Seriously, fuck that guy. Ugh. I wish he had died. I hate that he just passed out. But anyway, Squid Game was a good show. I liked it. I thought the games were set up really nice. I thought they left a lot of little Easter eggs that, like, when you go back and you look at it, like, oh, that was there this whole time and nobody noticed. But yeah, I thought it was a good time. I thought it was a worthwhile show. I love the fact that it was only 9 episodes. Listen, as a person who used to watch a ton of K dramas when they first got into Korean culture, going from fucking 16 episodes to just 9, man, what a breath of fresh air. What a nice thing to do. To go from 16 episodes to 9 is lovely. I hate to hear that the VIP guy is a bad guy in real life because I hate that he got a chance to touch somebody really wonderful. I was really interested in the cop storyline. I was interested in the cop storyline a little bit. Like, on the one hand, I really did want him to, like, bust the whole thing apart. But on the other hand, I was really disappointed with the fact that they left it open ended. I almost wish that he had died completely, but then if there was a season 2, somebody would have found the phone. And then that would have been the thing that cracked it all open. But, you never know. You never know. Also, Lee Byung-hun, I didn't expect to see him in this because I didn't check the cast list before I watched it. And when he took off that face mask, I was like, oh, I really was like literally in my house, like, oh my gosh, look who it is. I was totally stunned. Like, watching the show, like, the biggest surprises were like Gong Yu, and not even a surprise, like, I didn't know who was going to be. Like, everybody who talked about the show ahead of time was like, Gong Yu, Gong Yu, Gong Yu. I wasn't surprised he was going to be there, but I was surprised how little they utilized him. I'm like, y'all were able to pay Gong Yu to be in this thing. Use him all the time. Give him all the roles because we want to look at him some more. Oh, that's the only other mystery I have. What is Gong Yu's part in all this besides the recruitment aspect? But like, is he cheating? I would like to know if he's cheating. That's important to know whether or not Gong Yu is cheating when he's slapping the shit out of these people. But also, like, is he related to number one? Like, is he one of the VIP? Is he a former VIP? Is he a former front man? Like, who is he? I'd like to know. Also, super disturbing. Got to talk about this before I quit talking because I'm going to get off of here in about maybe 10-15 minutes. The people in the pink suits, the staff, I would like to know how they decided who to hire to be a part of this staff. Because it's very obvious that they chose the most desperate people to be in the Squid Games, but the people who they hired to be on the staff are also some of the worst people of all time. Like, the one guy who was supposed to help carry the organs from the morgue to the Chinese ship that was waiting just off the coast of the island, before he's executed by the detective, he admits that he and several other pink suits had sex with a dead woman's body. I just can't. What kind of low class piece of shit do you need to be to do some shit like that? Like it is beyond anything I could imagine. Like my mind, I don't even want to be in the same room with a dead person. Like I have a hard time at funerals. I just that's the kind of people that were in the pink suits. That's the kind of people they employ to be pink suits. And it was said that the one kid was so young and he was the one that took off his mask because he was being held at gunpoint. And then they shot him in the head because the rule is not take off the mask. Which I was like, well, front man, you broke that rule when you showed your brother your face. But whatever. Different rules for different people, right? But yeah, like these are ruthless fucking people. These are people who have no compulsion, no conviction about shooting people in the head. They have no problem with disposing of bodies and not worrying about these people's families. They have no problem harvesting kidneys from people that they shot in the head. They have no problem with having sex with corpses. Like, just all they have all the bad personality traits. Where do they find these people? Who are these people? Like that would be another question I have for season 2. What is the recruitment process for hiring somebody to work on the island? Because they have a staff of at least 100, if not more. Like it looks like they have maybe a couple of hundred people working on this island. How did y'all do that? How do all these people keep this job and keep this secret? That's the other thing. How do y'all keep this secret? So yeah, I have so many questions, but my goodness. Maybe aren't most past participants dead? I mean, the front man is a former winner, but you'd think that if you won $40 million, you wouldn't take no job toting a gun and taking off people's clothes so they could be put into their green jumpsuits. You'd think. They have like supply of dog suits. That's true. Like they really are the worst fucking people. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the reason why the VIP thought that he could sexually harass the detective was because in the past, the wait staff was like, yeah, pay me enough and I can do it. Yeah, it's always been one winner. Like if you saw where the detective looked at the list of the past winners, it was always one name. It was never multiple names. It was always like one name. Because I think that only one kid can win Squid Game. I don't know. The mechanics of the Squid Game were kind of difficult for me to follow up with. Even from the very beginning, I'm like, oh, this feels complicated. And this is shot in a way where I'm still not really getting a good grasp of this game. But anyway, that's really all I have to say about Squid Game. I'm glad I finished it. I'm glad I watched it. I thought it was a good show. But man, I just hate the fact that the one person to survive it all was not even the person who deserved that victory the most. And also, like, when you really think about it, there were 445 participants. And of the 445 participants, if a person like Ali could be in that group, how many other people are in that group who are really and truly innocent people? Let's not forget the husband and wife. We don't know if perhaps the husband and wife joined the Squid Games because they have a sick child at home that they were hoping to get the money to take care of that child. We don't know how many people are there because they have medical things that they need to take care of. We don't know how many people are there because, yes, it was sad to husband. We don't know how many people are there because maybe somebody stole something from them and now they're in trouble because they were betrayed by somebody close. We don't know how many people were in that room who have been victims of abuse in the past, and that them being in that room is because they never had a fair chance to begin with. They came from broken homes with abusive people who treated them like they were less than human. And then they all of a sudden are in the Squid Game. So their miserable lives started miserable and ended miserable. Like, we don't know. And that's the thing. Like, if they're going to do a season 2, I think that needs to show, because like a girl like Ji-young, she started out fucking miserable with a father who used the Bible as a defense against people assuming that he was a bad person. Meanwhile, he's at home raping his child. Yeah, how many people are looking for missing family members? How many people donated a kidney to their brother and their family is facing mounting medical bills, so they joined the Squid Games to hopefully pay off their family's debt? Like, there's all those things happen in the background. And I think if I was going to root for somebody going into the next season, I'd really want a good person to win. I want to really root for somebody who I can root for. I want somebody who's playing smart and not just stumbling into their best luck. Like, if I'm going to get justice in a season 2, I want real justice. Real justice. Because this wasn't it. This was not it. Also, for those of you who are thinking of dressing as Squid Games for Halloween, pick a different character. I know a lot of people are going with the green jumpsuits. I know a lot of people are going for the pink suits. Pick a different character. Seriously, just pick a different character. Pick frontman. Pick VIP and just put an animal mask and a suit on. Or pick Gong Yu. You wouldn't be successful because he's so fucking beautiful, but you could try. But yeah, I just pick somebody else. Be the detective, but pick somebody else. Because I can guarantee you that's going to be the most played out Halloween costume this entire Halloween season. So, like, just take a piece of print paper and do a huge blow up of Gong Yu's face, put it on a popsicle stick, and wear a suit and be like, I'm Gong Yu from the Squid Games. I got a briefcase. Want to play? Like, do that. But, like, seriously, the green suits and the pink suits, that shit's played out, man. It's played out, and this is the first Halloween they're going to use that costume. And it's already played the hell out. So, pick something else. Is that the... Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Oh, Gong Yu. I have lusted over Gong Yu for almost a decade. The first time I saw Gong Yu was in 2012. I was watching a K-drama called Coffee Prince. If you've never seen it, it's problematic now. I'm not even gonna lie. It's got some problematic moments now that I'm thinking about it. But Coffee Prince, the first show I ever saw Gong Yu in, and I knew then he was special. He gave one of the best K-drama kisses I'd ever seen in my life. When I tell you that man was kissing like his life depended on it, like not just, like that man was fucking head into it, tongue into it, caressing people's faces, stroking people's necks, rubbing people's backs, picking you up by your thighs and hosting you up against the wall, and then turning around and carrying you through the apartment. Ah, Gong Yu! Oh. And then he went to the military and came back and did Big. And Big has a super problematic storyline. Look it up. But, he had this scene where he came out of the shower in nothing but a towel. And he's so hot. And his body is so nice. And he's got like really interesting little tattoos in places. And then he did Goblin, where all he did was wear like nice suits and turtlenecks. And he just looked like the cover of GQ magazine in every scene. Oh, and then he does these tutorials where he smokes cigarettes and he's like all tussled and shirtless with like the billowing smoke and the 5 o'clock shadow. Oh, Gong Yu, don't, please. Like, honestly, I might could be sold into the Squid Game. Like, if Gong Yu came up to me and said, how much to let me slap you, I'd be like, listen, Daddy, you ain't got to pay. You ain't got to pay. Just let me turn around real quick. Like, seriously, that man. Yes, I have watched Guardian, and, I just want Gong Yu to know, in every movie you've ever been in, I would have saved you. In Train to Busan, I will care for your orphan child. You ain't never got to die in another movie ever again. Come call me. I will save you at all times. Fuck Gong Yu. Oh, he's so fine. He's so fine. Woo! That man, he's like vintage fine. Like he's the kind of fine that just never goes away. Like he started out fine, and with every new iteration of himself, he just never got less fine. He just stayed fine. There are a few people in this world that are like that. Like Lenny Kravitz is one of those people that, like, even though he doesn't give me the same feels that Gong Yu has, Lenny Kravitz's body looks the same as it did when he was 22. Like he hasn't aged. So yeah, Gong Yu, oh my gosh. I don't know how many more years left to find he has. Maybe another 15, because once you hit your 60s, it's just really hard to maintain the washboard abs. But my goodness, he can try. And you know, even if Gong Yu didn't have washboard abs, honestly, if Gong Yu never worked out another day in his life, if Gong Yu kept smoking cigarettes, if Gong Yu decided, I'm just going to eat my way into a 3X, a 4X, a 5X, it wouldn't even matter to me. That man's face is what does it for me. Like, a lot of people are all about the body. Body's cool, but there's a lot of hot bodies that got jacked up faces. That man's face, his eyes, oh gosh, oh my gosh, his fucking face, his fucking face, his fucking face. That's a love story unto itself. His fucking face. And he's tall. And he looks like he's caring. And he's got good morals. And, I bet he smells good too. He probably likes good music. Like, him and Lee Dong-wook are two people that I would be in a human sandwich for them. I would be in a human sandwich for them. Every door would be open. Nothing would be off the table except for like blood and piss play. Like, I would let them do anything. Those two, unlimited. Especially because Lee Dong-wook is a shawal. Fuck out of here. Abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Anything you want, daddy. Anything you want. Anything you want. You could do really mean things to me. And honestly, I would let you pay me to be quiet. I mean, anything you want. Even if I didn't like Squid Games, I probably would like it just because Gong Yu is there. But you know what? I will say this, and this is a fucking fact. I've not watched a single show that I didn't enjoy Gong Yu in. Like, of all the shows that I've watched for him, there hasn't been a single show that he was in that I didn't like. I've loved everything I've seen him in. I may not have watched every single thing he did, but I watched his show after he got out of the military. I watched Train to Busan. I watched Coffee Prince. I watched some movie that he was in. He does no wrong. So the next time you hear that Gong Yu is going to be in a project, you better watch. You better watch, because he's not, like Sarah said, he always understands the assignment. Always. So I'm just saying, if you're wondering about whether a project is quality, he is the arbiter of good taste. I really hope that him and Bong Ho do a movie together. That'd be awesome. They need to work together. The actor who plays Gi-hun is cute too, but he's not nearly as good looking as Gong Yu. Gong Yu. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later. Have a great night. Dream great dreams. Try not to ever accept an invitation to go on some weird ass Squid Games, because it's never going to work out for you. And I'll talk with you guys later.